Hello there, and welcome to a new podcast stream from Loud and Quiet. And I think it's probably best for us to start by just appreciating this music together. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how hard it is to find podcast music or music that would sound good on a podcast that doesn't sound like jazz in a coffee bar in a Starbucks. So I thought I'd go for something different, and I'm regretting it. This, I think, is probably too creepy, but it can change because this is very much a placeholder for this new stream, and this is just me telling you what to expect from this stream. And here's what we can do with this particular music. We can very slowly fade it down, and you'll never know it was even there. So you may have listened to a podcast from Loud and Quiet before, perhaps our Midnight Chats podcast, which I, Stuart, co-host with Greg. Midnight Chats is currently on a break that might be one of those breaks that goes on for eternity, but it might be a break that goes on for maybe half a year. But because we still wanted to put out some stuff, and we're changing the way things are happening here on Loud and Quiet, I wanted to start this podcast stream that is just going to be called Loud and Quiet. It's something that right now you can subscribe to on any platform that you use for your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, any of the others. It's going to be a bit different to what we did with Midnight Chats. I mean, not all of it. Some of it is going to be interviews with artists, but we're going to be a bit more flexible over here on this one. There's going to be some interviews with artists, as I say, it's very similar to Midnight Chats. And then there might be weeks where we'll have maybe a round table with some writers. Maybe we'll do some reviews, just some album reviews, and see how that goes on here. We might do some ambient recording stuff, some field recording stuff. Basically, we want to be a bit more creative with it, I would say. And we're not necessarily going to be putting out something every week on the same day every week. So that's why it's a good idea for you to subscribe. If you have come over from Midnight Chats, then you might need to know what Loud and Quiet is, as well as the Midnight Chats podcast, and that might be the only way the only thing that we do. We've run a magazine I have run a magazine for 20 horrific years. It's been very long. It's been very difficult, and I've been very brave. But last year we took a break from the print magazine because we were making the podcast, the Midnight Chats podcast, and now I've taken it upon myself to move everything that Loud and Quiet is onto a new Substack page. That Substack page is loudandquiet.substack.com. It's where we run our newsletter from. And this year, in 2025, it's where we're going to be posting content as well, including where this podcast will be hosted from. So that's where we're going to be uploading the podcast to, and then it'll be going into your devices wherever you listen. Now, an important part of this is, one of the reasons we're doing this is because you may have noticed that music journalism and journalism as a whole is destroyed. It's really not working. I think we all know it's very hard for journalists and writers to make any money, as it is for everybody in the music industry. So we've moved everything onto Substack because we really do need to be subscriber and reader supported now, like fully, really. Like, the advertising game is over. Meta killed it. Zuckerberg killed it. So we do really need our readers and our listeners to opt in and pay for the content that we create. In terms of this podcast, typically we're going to be posting two versions of the show. There'll be a shorter version that'll be for free and for everyone. And then there'll be the full version, which will be for our paying subscribers only. So if you have really enjoyed Midnight Chats in the past, perhaps, please do consider signing up to receive this one. One of the reasons Midnight Chats may be gone for quite a while is because last year we had funding for it, but we knew that was going to last for the year, and until we work out a way to pay to make the show, we can't really make the show anymore. So this is hopefully a way for us to fund what we do properly and to still be able to make the thing. The Substack is where you need to sign up. So if you go to loudandquiet.substack.com, you'll be subscribing to this podcast feed fully to get everything unedited. And you'll also receive all of the writing, all of our future writing that's going to be posted only on the Substack from now on. You'll receive all of our reviews and our essays and our written interviews, as well as this podcast. On the Substack, in terms of all the writing and the podcast, the way that is going to work is from Monday to Thursday, anything that we put out in that time is going to be for our paid subscribers. And then Friday's newsletter, which we've been running for a while, called the Loud and Quiet Weekly, that's going to remain free. So it's worth signing up, even if you do just sign up to the free tier to receive the newsletter, because the newsletter will always be for everybody, and it's a new music roundup, and it tells you sort of what's going on in music, our track of the week, any gigs we've been to, albums coming up, all of that sort of stuff. That's going to be on Friday. So that's safe. You're going to get that no matter what. Have a look, see what you think. Hopefully we can convince you that the writing, and we've got some great writers that have always worked on Loud and Quiet and are going to continue to this year in this new format. We're trying to do something different in the way that we're writing about things. So hopefully you'll find it interesting. I'll work on the music, although maybe there's something to this. Guys, at least it's not an upright double bass and a jazzy piano. Am I reinventing podcast music? Okay, thanks very much for listening. Please do check out loudandquiet.substack.com. Give it a subscribe there and subscribe on your podcast app.